Hi, everybody. Matt Lawton here, and this is the Astrological Wings channel. I'm going to take a look today at the astrological weather report for the week of April 8th through 14th. And I know anybody, or almost everybody, knows about the eclipse this today, Monday. So that is the big thing of the week. And I'm sure there's a lot of people interested in hearing how that eclipse is going to play out. So that's going to be the main thing I'm talking about today. And in fact, the other two things that for the week are both associated with the eclipse too. There's a Mars conjunct Saturn this week, which Mars is actually the ruler of this new moon in Aries, and then there's also the Sun's in and Mercury's inferior conjunction with one another while Mercury is retrograde. So that kind of ties in, and that's really the three things I'm going to be talking about this week. There's really not much else to talk about, but it is, very potent and big. So just a little bit of a business first. The Astrological Winds channel is a free video blog that I do weekly on YouTube. If you like what you see, please become a follower if you have a YouTube account, and don't forget to turn your notifications on. And that means they will always let you know when the blog is posted. It was a podcast long before it was a video YouTube podcast. So it's also available still on podcasts if you prefer not to check the video out, which usually is just me talking, occasionally showing a chart a little bit here or something too, but not very much, so it's easy to get it on the podcast. Just look up Astrological Winds channel on your favorite podcast. If you can't find it there, take a look around. There's a bunch of them that pick it up. It's distributed through Buzzsprout, and that frees you up to, listen to it when you're doing other stuff too. You don't have to keep your eye on a video or something. It's also, I do post the link on Instagram, and that's under Astrological Wings channel. Once again, has its own Instagram page. So if you have an Instagram account, please become a follower. And sometimes I post extra information too during the week. Um, that is kind of just maybe for one certain day, and it's just a comment. It's not video or audio, so you can read it really quickly, so the Instagram followers get a little bonus there. And I also do post the link every week on my Facebook newsreel, so if you want to, it is a private account. And you have to friend me first. That's Matthew with two T's, Lawton, Lauten. And the other place you can always find it is on my website, and that's www.astrologicalwinds.com. And there's also a weekly calendar there you can check out. Also, the menu for all the professional astrological services that I give. I've been doing readings for over 20 years. I was trained professionally for 7 years before that. Would love to do a reading for you or somebody you know, or get involved with a group event, or I offer group stuff too. Just check the menu out. If you have any questions, email me. There's a information tab right there. It goes right to my email. My email is matthueh23@gmail.com. Can't hurt to start a conversation. If I can work with your budget, so just let me know. The other way I ask everyone to support me is by passing the link to this blog along to somebody else that you may know might be interested in. Even if you've done it before, I please ask that you do it again, or if you meet someone, who might be interested in it, have them check it out. I really appreciate that. Helps the blog to grow organically. I do accept currency donations too for the blog. Any amount that you'd like to give, even a couple bucks is cool. My Venmo handle is at Matthew, once again, with two T's, hyphen in the middle, Lauten, Lawton. So, any amount is appreciated for sure. And remember, the thing I try to remind everybody every week is, if you're interested in astrology but don't know much about it, when you're listening to this blog, please don't get caught up in the astrological terms, which a lot of people do want to hear. The majority of people do want to hear that because they do know some astrology. But you want to hear the interpretations, because that's the energy you can work with and be aware of each week. And that's the power of astrology, is having that awareness and seeing how that reflects the timing of certain things in your life, and knowing that that's a potent time for you to make a decision or not make a decision or whatever it may be. So that, that's the gift I'm trying to give you guys, is like some of that power of that awareness of what the energies are going on, the forms of the energy each week. And therefore you can make better decisions for yourself, hopefully, within those forms, and help manifest more what you would prefer to have happen, rather than having things just happen to you. So hopefully, don't get caught up on the terms, is my point. Listen to the interpretations. So let's just get it going. So it's today. It's the big, solar eclipse that people have been talking about for months, especially in the US, since it's very full in Texas and going up in a swath towards the northwest. And so yeah, very powerful one. And so a solar eclipse occurs when it's a new moon, right? So we have a new moon too, and that's exactly, the new moon is at 20 degrees Aries. So the moon is conjunct the sun when it's a new moon, right? So new moons are always about new beginnings, starting new things, planting the seed. So that's the basis energy that we're looking at in Aries. It's the beginning of the zodiac. So it's a particularly powerful new moon already, in that sense, that it's also, the seeding time of the zodiac in its natural calendar process of moving around each year. And so a very powerful new moon. And you want to look at where that 20 degrees is in your chart of Aries, and that will tell you what house that the new moon falls into. And that's the part of your life where you should be seeing some of this energy and wanting to plant these new seeds. And so that's, where we're starting right there, is just some very powerful energy. But what makes this one even more powerful, I mean, the new moon in Aries, first of all, is going to be very, it's a cardinal sign, it's a fire sign. It's going to want to initiate action. Okay. It's looking for some kind of adventure. It's looking for something new. It's looking, many times outside itself, externally, for something. And it will, and it can be like, very assertive to aggressive in doing that, and, getting to a point of maybe insensitivity and tactlessness in the desire to have a new adventure, to get emotional satisfaction out of that, and actually have it, manifesting in our life too, because the moon and sun are together. So we really want to see something new come in with Aries, and we're very, very, very much going to push forward for that energy, so we have this. But what's really amazing about this new moon is the conjunction, not only of the moon and sun, but back here on the chart you can see a little. Chiron is literally at the same exact degree and minute as the moon and sun. So not only are the moon and sun exactly conjunct at 19 degrees 24 minutes, but Chiron is exactly there too. That is just so super rare to have something like that happen. And the potent energy of that seed is just incredible. It could be like, like a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of seed. It's that seed that you're going to want to save, that seed for all your future generations, because, it's this strong, potent, brilliant kind of seed. So what, to me, when you put Chiron on top of this new moon in Aries, and then, remember, Aries is driven for the self, to initiate new action for the self. You put the Chiron there too. And this is all about, for me, a new you being born. Literally, like, just all this stuff you've been learning, and that's what Chiron does. When you think about Chiron, the journey of Chiron is that, we all know, or many of us know, it's the wounded healer archetype, right? And what a lot of it has to do is that through life and the experiences, the trials, the tribulations, the battles, and the wounds that we take on all kinds of levels, emotionally, physically, the sun and moon, together here with Chiron, you know, all that stuff is really giving us experience and learning about life. And when we have this in Aries, and I've been talking about the North Node going into Aries over a year ago, that, was going to be so much about the self responsibility of our own healing path coming down to just us each individually. And once again, if you don't understand the eclipses, as I said 2 weeks ago when there was the lunar eclipse with the full moon, right? It's when the new and full moons are near the nodal axis. So it's pushing us. The nodal axis is our karma dharma individually and together. And that's what this has really been about, is like saying we need to take responsibility for our own healing. We can't play the victim or martyr role anymore. So this new moon, with that conjunction to Chiron being right on it, and that North Node Aries thing, is saying, yes, it's time to step out of that pain and the wounding and all that stuff that we've learned and really take control of our lives, to really find out who we really uniquely are. And we've got a lot of the information on that through that process. Through the wounding and healing process, we learned a lot about the unique gifts and talents that we have. And we now can see how we can plug that in to something greater than just us and contribute to society or group or relationships, things like that, where we can use this unique creativity we have as a gift and get healing satisfaction to ourselves on this emotional and life level, the sun and moon, right? Get that within ourselves and also be contributing positively to what's going on in the world. And because we're now feeling better about what we're doing, we've taken control of our lives. We're not allowing the world to push us around, right? So to me, we can really blend these energies together with that Aries energy. It's like taking the Aries energy, and that is the new adventure. That's the new adventure, is hatching this new you, this new personality, this change that you're going through based on all the things that have happened to you up until now. We're all getting this imprint together. So I really, once again, when you think about the age of Aquarius, how much that really plugs in, it's amazing. But we can use that Aries energy to initiate now, to have the courage to take the step forward, to have to break away from the things that are holding us behind. And that's, one of the things with Aries, like I said, it can be very tactless at times and insensitive to others. But if there really is people or situations that are holding us back, it gives us the energy, the courage, the desire to take a risk and break free and find some new shore, find some new horizon, find some new place. The funny thing is, too, with Aries, that is the lesson to be learned with this, is that that's every day. That it doesn't have to be somewhere far out there or somewhere in the future or something like that, that it's right in front of us. That and with this energy of Chiron and the eclipse, like I've told you guys over and over with eclipses, it's a turning point. It's like my favorite analogy, and you probably heard me say this before if you've listened to the blog for a long time. You're walking down a street in one direction for a lot, and that's your life. And years are going by block is another year. And then all of a sudden, some event occurs in your life that forces you to make a right or left onto an avenue instead. And your whole life is no longer ever going to be in the direction it was prior to that. Things happen, you know. So, we can be the initiator of making those things happen with the Aries energy. The sun is exalted in Aries. It's like, yes, I am born. I am me. Look, I am, I am, right? And taking that fired up sun energy, the energy of life itself, and pushing that forward, pushing that forward. And so, like, the eclipse is a big thing too in this whole new moon because as I've probably mentioned this before for sure on the blogs, eclipses were born. They have a life cycle. They were born either at the North or South Pole. And as centuries go by, the same eclipse comes up every 18 years, you guys, right? Same eclipse cycles up every 18 years. So we had this eclipse back in 2006, and that's a good way to think sometimes about the energy. If you were around in 2006 and cognizant of what was going on in your life, it can bring up issues that were rooted all the way back then that may come up then. And the same thing with the world, things that were happening back in 2006, we may see like signature or the copy type things energy wise going on in the world now too. But my point is, every eclipse was born at a certain time, and it goes through the centuries down from one pole to another every 18 years, moving closer. When it's born on the north, it goes down to the south. And it's down to the south. So this one is almost at the middle of its cycle, which is why it's so full. The more middle their cycle is, the more the eclipse is a full eclipse. And this eclipse was actually born on May 17th of 1501. And it will end on June 23rd of 2745. So you can see we're getting close to the middle of this eclipse. But the reason I bring that up, that means every eclipse has a birth chart, right? And the birth chart of this eclipse has a moon square Uranus in it. So that means that energy is imprinted on this eclipse every 18 years when it comes up. And it really flavors the energy of this eclipse. And what is the moon square Uranus? It's just exactly what that I'm saying about that Aries energy. This is the energy of like, I need something new and exciting in my life, and I'm going to go and get it. The square will make us act. And if it upsets the apple cart, so be it. The insensitivity of the Aries energy is very similar to a moon square Uranus too, where the self recognizes that in order to be truly who it is and express who that person is, it may have to upset some of its older relationships and the way that people have been seeing it, and there will be tension there because those people are not going to want to accept that. So there can be a lot of tension in your private life, in your relationships, in your intimate relationships. But this is really, there is a need right now with this eclipse so potently for each one of us to be who we really are. that we have to give each other a break on that. Really, we have to be aware of that consciousness is going on right now, and that is necessary for this to happen. That we need to really truly express who we are. And other people who seem to be trying to block that are going to be, we're going to be feeling really irritated, upset, angry with them, and we will rebel against them. We will rebel against authority. We will rebel against situations that are holding us back. So this really feeds that Aries new moon energy to really for the individual to find out who they are and to be able to bring that back to that Chiron and get the healing that they need so that they can be really who they are. Now it's interesting, this new moon is ruled by Mars, right? Um, and that's the second big thing of the week is this is Mars conjunct Chiron, Saturn week in Pisces. So the ruler of this chart of this new moon is conjunct Saturn. And that's once again, that is the things that are holding us back, right? You know, in Pisces, the first thing we should ask about is it our belief systems that are holding us back, right? Is it our own belief systems, or even more so, is it a belief system we bought into and we're kind of going along? And even though our intuition is showing us places where it's wrong, we're kind of still going along on blind faith. And that's actually what's slowing us down and blocking us and inhibiting us from being who we really are, you know? But even more so, we're going to see it externalized. Saturn's such a solid planet and Mars is our actions, right? We're going to feel really upset with with once again the people who we feel are holding us back from doing that. And with Saturn, a lot of times that's authorities, that's old school type stuff, right? And that can be individuals in your life, you know. We all know that, you know. And so therefore once again we can get very irritated, angry, upset certain individuals. Now Mars Saturn a lot of times will keep that inside. It won't like go and directly confront it. But what I think would be really good use of this energy this week would be to take Mars Saturn as enduring energy, right? It's like the energy to keep pushing on, to take one, like going up Jacob's ladder one step at a time, like if that's what it's going to take, and it's going to take for, hours or whatever to get there. The Mars Saturn is there, and can be very detailed about it, can really see what each step is, make the correct decision. So there's this enduring kind of energy. And I think, what we can do is, first of all, ground some of the Aries energy with that, but it'll also give us, once again, that strength to want to push ahead and do that. And like I said, we are going to have probably some irritation with those who hold us back, and we are not going to be happy about them. And what we need to do is use this energy to push ourselves forward, you know, to push ourselves forward, because if we try to confront in this kind of energy situation, it's probably just going to end up being more of a battle. But I think we can really take this energy of the Mars Saturn, the enduring strength energy, and deposit that into the Sun Moon Chiron desire of finding a new you, and be like, no, I'm not going to back down. This is the energy I had before this. I will crawl up those steps one by one if I have to, right? I will have, scars on my hands and knees, but I will find out the place that I need to get to one way or another. So I think we can really blend that energy in. The exact conjunctions on Wednesday, but like I said, it does rule this this new moon. So we're very potent with it. And the one last thing I wanted to mention this week is Thursday. We have the sun will catch up with the Mercury retrograde and Eris conjunction. Okay. Now, the couple things I want to mention about that too is first of all, this with the sun and Mercury when they have their inferior conjunction, that's the middle of the Mercury retrograde period. So that's when we're most internalized. That's when the communication going out to others is the least going on, and it brings up a lot of those communication issues that we see in Mercury retrograde, where just the degree of communications goes down. People are really keeping it within, but it's also the seeding time for new ideas, not where you do anything about them yet. You don't even present them to the world yet. These are just like little thoughts that you can get in this very subjective time for your mind and intellect, where it's very deeply within. In fact, we're not good listeners at all when the sun is conjunct Mercury, and even more so when it's Mercury retrograde. We're just so wrapped up in our own individual subjective viewpoint that we're just not good listeners. We just aren't. And but this is a time where we can really see other ideas that may work, and we can start the thought process on the ideational level of how to perfect those ideas. But it's not something where you even want to express them out yet. It's a time where where we're kind of like living in life on a moment to moment experience and taking things in and gaining knowledge, and therefore it's like something that once again is very subjective to each one of us and what's going on. And so yeah, it's once again just like the new moon, and it is a good seeding time, just like Aries energy. Now, the one other thing I did want to mention about the Chiron, I mean, the Mercury retrograde conjunct Eris, that is the next aspect the moon's going to make after the new moon is a conjunction to Mercury and Eris. And it is going to show it is going to be difficult to like explain where we're coming from to others in a rational way that they can understand. And it may cause a lot of chaos in our relationships because there's change going on. There's change on both sides, and a lot of it is internal right now. A lot of it's difficult to explain to others, so it can really create, once again, some irritation, anger, chaos in your relationships with others, especially the ones that are going through a lot of change. But it's part of the necessary process for something new to be born again. So very potent week. Look to where that 20 degrees is. Like if it's in like your seventh house, let's say, then it's going to be partnerships. That this energy is going to be affecting, and just see where that is and start working with that, because it is very potent. Now remember too, if you have any planets that are in the 18, 19, or 20 degree range, right, they're going to also be aspecting that new moon, and they're going to flavor it too. So like so if you have a planet in those zones, it's going to bring in, say, not only the seventh house, but say you have a Venus, in those zones, then you're going to know, yeah, relationships are going to be very much affected by this. So you got to look at that too. But that's what I got for this week, and it is a lot. It's potent, and I really, urge all of us to become that new you and to not take it personally when someone is doing that, to give them the freedom and the space to do that. And, it's interesting because next week is the big conjunction of the year for outer planets. And I mentioned it in the monthly last week. It's Jupiter conjunct Uranus. That's all about freedom and independence. That's all about that too. So I'll be talking about that next week in much more detail. And next week we also have the sun going to Taurus. So we're going to start moving away from the Aries energy a little bit and moving towards Taurus energy. So we'll talk about that too. This is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. This is a free video blog that I do on YouTube every week. I need you to pass it on right now to somebody else, even if you've done it before for me. And if you have a YouTube account, please become a follower and turn on your notifications. Remember, it's available on podcasts too. Just look up Astrological Wind Channel. Ditto with Instagram. And always available on my website. All the blogs are embedded in there if you want to go back and check out some of the others I've done in the last, if you want to see the monthly, whatever, the quarterly one for the US, they're all embedded there. Also, the weekly calendar is there to check out every week for astronomy and Earth events. So that's something cool. And the menu for all the services that I offer professionally. You know, drop me an email. If you need a reading or know someone that does, I'll work with you. My prices are there. If you're constrained by a budget, we'll try to work something out. It doesn't hurt to ask, right? And my email for those who don't want to go to the website is matthuey823 at gmail.com. Okay, I will see you all next week, and let's just do what we can with this eclipse energy. It's look at it like as an adventure, as something some kind of quest, like something like Tolkien or Star Wars or whatever. Just you're the hero with Aries, but there's a long, long adventure in front of you, and you need the endurance, and you need to stand up for yourself. And it doesn't mean you're going to alienate the whole world. You will find others that are on that adventure too. I'll see y'all next week.